So Stacy, are we ready to start?
Yes, you can start.
Okay. Welcome, everybody. Call to order the November 27th meeting of the Board of Appeals. We have a brief agenda with 2 items on it. The first item is a variance request for 9106 Chesapeake Avenue. The proponent is, I'm sorry, am I doing the first item on the agenda properly? No, 3919 Fifth Street. 3919 Fifth Street. The proponent is Scott Properties. The proponent is requesting a variance of 5-102 for minimum side yard setbacks, requesting a reduction in the side yard setbacks from 8 feet to 3 feet on the east and west sides of the property for construction of a replacement dwelling. Is Mr. Scott or Mr. Montgomery on the call right now? Do we have anybody representing the proponent?
I did not see either one of them, Jim, so maybe you can take the next case because I know they're here.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and jump to the other proposal, which is also a variance request for Wilbanks Associates. This variance is also a variance for the setback requirements of 5-102. Proponent is requesting a reduction in setback from 5 feet to 2.5 feet on the south side and 5 feet to 3 feet on the north side. Anybody here representing Wilbanks?
Yes, sir. Josh Wilbanks here.
How you doing, Mr. Wilbanks? You just want to make a brief, just a brief announcement to the board as far as what you're trying to do here and why you need to request a variance?
Sure. I think that the ordinance setback for that zone is either 5 or 8. I don't have the ordinance in front of me. But the issue with the lot is it's only 25 feet wide. So really to build anything at all, we're going to need some type of variance. The building that we're proposing is, I believe it's 19.5 feet wide. And that gives us the 2.5 on one side and the 3 feet on the other side. I think it's the north side that we're requesting 3 feet because we're going to have a sidewalk going down the side of the lot to the stairs, which will go up in the middle of the structure.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Sure.
So, do any of the board members have any questions they want to ask Mr. Wilbanks?
Jim, just for your knowledge, Rick is on now.
Okay. Hey, Rick, we jumped to the second item on the agenda since no one was here representing Scott Properties at the time. So, Rick, was there anything you wanted to share as far as the request on Chesapeake Avenue? I see it's in commercial district. Is it C1 or C2? Do you know?
That is just CM now.
Oh, okay. I'm looking at the old book, I guess.
Yeah, it's just CM now. Yep.
Okay. Any board members have any questions they want to ask Mr. Wilbanks?
I would say it's good for the board to know that this project has gone before the Planning Commission several times to get to the point that it is at now. The applicant has, I believe, went back 3 times, made all of the changes that they requested. And then at the last meeting, they moved to approve as submitted with the recommendations to come to the Board of Appeals for the setback.
Okay, it's also noted this variance is for a multifamily structure. It looks like from the summary and the drawings, it looks like it's going to be potentially a 3-family structure. And yes, it's located in CM district. I'm sorry, I was talking old school C1, C2.
So my biggest issue here is that last time we had someone come before the board and request a 2.5 foot setback. We all kind of walked through the amount of space that's involved. And I think we'll get to some of those overhangs and all of that that are required just to build a house of any kind. And I thought we all kind of said that 3 feet was pretty much it to allow space between the houses. Other than that, it seems like you're building basically up to the line.
Right, so I do want to point out that typically when we've discussed these cases in the recent past, it's been in residential areas. And it is commercial zone, so there is that distinction here. And commercial zone has, you know, setbacks in residential are 8 feet on sides, commercial are only 5 feet on sides to begin with. And
Yeah.
and we you know, not necessarily for residential properties, but I know for other commercial properties in the commercial zone, we have been, I'll say, rather permissive.
Yeah, there's a huge one on Third that seems like it comes right up to the line.
And there are cases in the CM zone where properties are permitted to go all the way to a 0 setback, which is allowed by zoning. There
Right,
are those instances as well.
Jessica, where's the one you're talking about? I didn't catch the name of the street.
I think it's on 3rd Street,
Okay.
the new big blue one that's built like right up to the line. But I mean,
Okay.
there's a little space.
Right.
Yeah, it's 2 feet.
Yeah, that's really close.
Can I ask my question?
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Go right ahead.
Rick, I have a question about the ordinance itself and where the side setback starts relative to the building. If you look at the drawing on that particular, the eaves on the roof stick out 12 inches on both sides. And also there's an awning showing on the side of the building that goes into the storage room that even sticks out further. Where does the side setback actually start? Is it the edge of the building or is it any protrusion?
Yeah, at the footer. Yep, at the footer. So the eaves can actually overhang almost all the way to the property line, which
Okay.
it would be, yeah,
Right. What and then the same thing with the awning?
correct.
Yeah, because the awning looks like it sticks out further than even the eaves are.
Let me look at it again. I believe they're almost identical, but
As long as it doesn't cross over the property line is what you're saying.
yeah, it will not. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, then it's the footers that counts for the side setback. Okay, I understand that.
So, Mr. Wilbanks, I did just want to ask you, I mean, I'm assuming this is going to be a rental property, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And what type of rental are you, I mean, long-term rental or?
Yeah, long term. That's what we're planning.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Sure.
Okay, so any other board members have any questions for Mr. Wilbanks?
What is the plan for parking? It looks like you have some spaces in the back for the units.
So the planning commission had approved our plan to put 4 spaces in the front. That's off of Chesapeake Avenue. And then 2, Rick, what did we propose the 2 to be?
So the planning
basically street
commission,
parking, yeah.
Yeah, the planning commission approved that there was sufficient street parking residentially in that area within the reasonable walking distance. So they allowed the 2 front end parkings similar to what would be in allowed in a townhouse back to back for 4 spaces. And then they allowed that there would be space for 2 off-street parking spaces that was within reasonable distance to the building.
And they did that to cover the 2 required spaces per dwelling unit, I'm assuming.
Well, in the CM zone, that's not a requirement. It's only in the R1, R2 for single family residential or townhouse communities.
Okay, but it seems like they were
They
aiming
were
for that.
yeah, right. They were aiming for those those two spaces per, correct.
Right, right.
So that's what, like I said, they've came back, they've gone back and forth 3 times, adjusting the site plan back and forth with the planning commission, and this was the final one that they had come to an agreement that they liked.
Okay. Okay, any other questions from the board? Before I open it up to public comment?
None from me.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Jessica. So I'm gonna go ahead and open up to public comment. I would just ask that folks keep their questions brief and to the point. And please let us know your name and address and your relationship to the property. And go ahead and let us know if you have any questions for the proponent. So would anybody like to make any comments or raise any questions?
Jim, I have a comment in the chat. Jim
Oh.
Byerly stated, what was the original purpose of the 5-foot setback?
Should we be able to see that? I'm just,
He sent that directly to me. It wasn't to everyone.
So
I'm
I
sorry.
think
This
the
is Jim
5
Byerly.
foot.
oh,
Yeah, so I
he-
think the
Yeah.
5-foot setback was very similar to the 8-foot setback for residential. So it was a generalized setback, knowing that on residential properties, we have, 30% of our inventory is 25 foot wide lots. Those 8-foot setbacks would never work on a 25 foot wide lot. So similarly with the commercial zoning, I think they also realized that there would be some times where variances were needed where 5-foot setback would not work within a commercial setting. Which is why the zoning ordinance allows for certain projects to go actually up to 0 setback commercially.
thanks, Rick, for that explanation. Any other comments or questions for Mr. Wilbanks or for the board?
Well, this is Jim Byerly again. I guess it concerns me when we're willing to throw out whatever reason there was to move right up to the line, because that just sets the precedent for everyone else coming in to move right up the line. 5 foot must have been set for a reason back at some point. Having that to 2.5 feet concerns me and sets a bad precedent in my opinion. I'm at 16. I'm at on Frederick Avenue.
So keep in mind, Mr. Byerly, if they were to hold that 5 foot and not allow anything else, you would have to build a 15-foot wide building on that lot. It would be impossible to develop that parcel of land.
By itself, yeah, or else people would have to start combining lots.
Well, yeah, you'd have to get people to actually, someone would have to say, yeah, I'll sell you this lot to combine with,
Thank you, Mr. Byerly, for your comments. Is there anybody else that has anything they want to add to the record or ask Mr. Wilbanks?
The only thing I'll ask is that the awning that on that side does not impede or cross the property line. I just want to make sure that happens.
Right,
which,
so-
which side, Mr. Noble?
It's on the right side as you're facing the building. There's
Facing it on the right? Okay.
On the right where there's like a fence there, and then there's an awning sticking out, and I'm assuming the awning is over that door that goes into the storage room.
I think that
Actually,
is, go ahead, Josh.
this
I'm
this
sorry.
is Tom. This is Tom Reiniger. I'm the architect for the building. That awning is on the right-hand side of the building, does stop short of the property line. And the idea was to kind of give a little bit of protection and help identify the entry point into the structure, because the stairs are down that side. Instead of having them on the front of the building or the rear of the building, we decided it made more sense to place them in the middle of the building. But then they become concealed from the street. So the idea was, well, let's take that little section of roof and extend it out, but it stops short of the property line.
Yeah, that's all my comment was, as long as
Yeah.
it doesn't cross the property line. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't. And the roof overhangs for the actual building they're 2 feet. So they stop at least a foot, 6 inches on the south side, a foot on the north side from the property line. So nothing on the building extends beyond the property line.
Right.
Thank you, Mr. Reiniger.
You're welcome.
Okay, so in the absence of any other comments from the general public about this, why don't we move to board discussion? Anybody have any particular thoughts about how we should go with this one?
I'm not a fan of making any of the variances under 3 feet. I see the 2-foot one on Third Street. It's right up on it once you have all the things required around a house. I mean, it would be different if it was like maybe approaching some open space backyard or something like that, maybe for discussion, but I am not in favor of going under 3 feet between houses, or a total of 6 feet between houses, assuming, because some of these other ones are already on lines because they're whatever the original house was.
Right, so something else to keep in mind is that the lot that's adjacent to it to the south is a rather significant lot. I mean, it's not a 25-foot lot by any means. I would guess it's more like a 75 or 100-foot lot.
It's
So-
also a commercial lot.
Yeah,
Right,
that's
it's
right,
also-
right?
It's also commercial, so that lot, the corner lot's not nearly as constrained as this lot might be.
But for a commercial building, if it was a corner lot asking to go up to a corner, that wouldn't be impeding upon anything or build it, like, it's just that, yeah, I am not in favor of under 3-foot variances, seeing what happened on Third Street.
Understood. Any other board members?
I have to agree with Jessica.
Okay, so anybody care to make a motion?
I will make a motion to approve a variance on 9106 Chesapeake Ave, side setbacks from 5 feet to 3 feet on both sides.
Okay. So we have a motion to approve a variance request to reduce the side yard setbacks from 5 foot to 3 foot on both sides.
Just really quickly, I want to make sure we give the correct address. I thought we were discussing 3919 Fifth. Correct?
We are discussing the proposal on Chesapeake Avenue, 9106 Chesapeake.
Correct.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
Jim, do you mind if I make a quick question?
Go right ahead, Mr. Woodbanks.
I think it's probably more for Rick, but it was my understanding that if we have any commercial element in this building at all, that the side setback goes to 0 because
There
of
is that
the,
possibility. There is the possibility for that.
yeah, that would be if the first floor was commercial. Is that correct, Rick?
Right, there's an exception in the code for situations where it's non-residential use. It allows it to go to 0. But it specifically talks about non-residential use.
I think I lost you guys for a second. Did you get my question or?
Yeah, yes, we heard your question. I never heard Rick
Okay,
say any response. It looks like he's having trouble connecting. But yes,
Okay.
there is an exception when the structure is non-residential use. That the code specifically expects.
Can you hear me
possibility
now?
of going-
Sorry, I got kicked out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
we
can hear you
can
now,
hear you.
Rick. Did you
Okay.
hear Mr. Wilbank's question?
No, as soon as he started to talk, my computer shut down on me.
So he was asking about the possibility of a 0 setback when there's non-residential use as the code anticipates or accommodates, I should say.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull it up now without losing everyone again.
Right, it's 5104B. It talks
Yeah.
in terms of there being non-residential use of the property.
Right, so I think that's what he was talking about was initially the planning commission was trying to force the issue to have a commercial aspect to this building, which would have done two things. One would have allowed the possibility for them to reduce the setbacks to 0 on the
Right.
left-hand side. And it would have increased the height of this building to 50 feet as opposed to 40 feet. And so over the course of 2 or 3 meetings, the planning commission decided that they would rather see a slightly shorter building with not having a 0-foot setback. And there were some other aesthetic things that were changed to make the building more attractive. And then they finally came to the agreement that they were happy with the last presentation that was brought here tonight.
That's very good to know. Thank you.
that was my question though, Rick. So if we decided, for instance, if we decided 3 feet would not work, there's a possibility we could go back to the planning commission,
Well,
introduce
so the
a
important thing to
commercial
remember
element
here
to
is the planning commission can approve the 0 setback on that use. It would not come back to the Board of Appeals for that side.
Oh, okay.
So the planning commission actually has the authority to approve the 0 setback on the commercial to commercial use.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I understand the all of the comments by the board members. I don't like seeing buildings squeezed in next to each other around the beach either. And I do know the blue building that you were discussing. I think that was squeezed in pretty tight. This one, to me, it's a little bit different because the current setback isn't much at all anyway. It's also, there's a lot of 25-foot wide lots on that block. So it may be something that we have to go back to the drawing board if 2.5 feet won't work. We're just being squeezed on a lot of things in the process. So it may be, back to the drawing board and then introducing the commercial element to bring that, south lot line closer to the lot line.
So, Mr. Wilbanks, just so I understand what you're saying, if we were to approve 3 feet and 3 feet on each side, you're saying that changes your plans significantly enough that you would revisit the entire proposal?
I'd have to discuss it with Tom.
Okay.
But Jim, I don't want to sound disrespectful at all. It's just that we have been pushed into doing some things that we had not originally been planning on doing by the planning commission.
Understood.
And we have given them, in my opinion, a lot of, you know, we've given them a lot. So,
Understood. No, I understand what you're saying. I just want to make sure I realize the implications of us actually going forward with it, because we have a motion on the board, on the table right now that I haven't even asked for a second for yet. But I just want to see how it would play out if we were to go down the approval of that motion. So all that being said, and, you know, considering the potential alternatives, I mean, do we want to continue with the motion as it stands, or, you know, do we want to reconsider the 2.5 foot setback on the south side that he's requesting?
Jim, since Jessica made the motion, she would have to pull the motion, but you do have a second on the motion.
Oh, somebody seconded?
Kessa, didn't you second it?
Basically, yes, I did. I didn't say
Okay.
more. I seconded it.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second, so let's take a vote.
So Jessica
On-
can pull her original motion, but that is totally up to her. If she decides not to, you have to vote on this motion.
Jessica?
I mean, I understand that a lot has happened between now and Kessa's second. So if Kessa's not interested in seconding, I will pull it. But
Okay, and
I
doesn't mean we
stand
can't
with-
come back to it. Right, I just want to make sure that folks realize the potential implications of the decision, because I mean, as they've explained, he could build a taller, wider building that would be commercial use. And just kind of my view is giving him 2.5 feet would be better, I think, than seeing a taller commercial building that has 0 lot lines on it. I mean, you know, it's not like we don't have to be held hostage by this idea either.
prefer
I
not
just-
to do that.
Right, no, I
Yeah.
understand, but look, I'm just one person, so I just, you know, nothing passes without at least 3 people voting for it, so.
I know, it's just, so then are we gonna be forced into this situation every time someone wants to build a bigger house and get more and more variance closer to the lot line every time, because then they haven't.
No, look, the way I see it is every single one of these cases has unique situations of, you know, I honestly, I see the situation with the property to his south being a unique situation, in that, you know, it's not like he's hemmed in by other 25-foot lots. There is one to his north, but the lot to his south is not a 25-foot lot, so it doesn't have the same constraints.
Bakers, you got a baker's confession.
I will
Greg.
say, I will say that the owner to the left initially did have concerns. He is out of town for this hearing. He initially was going to send in a letter saying he did not agree with it. He asked me to come out. We went out to the lot line so that he could see what the 2.5 feet would be from where the current building is now and his building. And then he decided that he did not want to send his letter in of disapproval once he realized that the overhangs would not drop water onto his property, that the buildings would probably be slightly farther apart than they are now.
Right, but he's had plenty of time to send a letter if he really felt strongly about it, so.
No, he did. And then he asked me to meet him on site so I could go over the site plan with him, and I did. And then he rescinded that letter. So the property owner to the left initially did have concerns, but after he realized what the setbacks were and how far the building was going to be, he was okay with the proposal.
Gotcha. Okay.
Interesting question, Rick. Is the existing building closer than 2.5 feet?
Yeah, I don't believe the existing building is square, so I think
Right.
on one corner it may be slightly closer, on another it might be farther away.
Yeah, it's sort of cattywampus. Yeah.
Yeah, much like a lot of the smaller ones, it's kind of a little bit off-centered.
Right.
And Jess, also keep in mind, I agree with you on the 3 foot when it comes to just straight residential property, single family homes. But this is not really just a residential property. This is in the commercial district next to a commercial district. And I believe you guys will be seeing another potential commercial property going in next door, because I believe that property has sold as well.
You're talking about the property to the north?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, well, it's something else
Yeah,
to
and so
consider.
that feeds into my worry that now that next property is gonna come up and say, can we have 2.5 feet? I guess, can we go back to Mr. Wilbanks? What was the decision? Because I actually thought that in the commercial zone, you were supposed to put a commercial unit. What was the decisions there?
Rick
Or
might
Rick.
be able to answer. Yeah, Rick might be able to answer that. There's a
Yeah, that's a Rick question.
in the ordinance. Yeah.
Yeah, so there was some questions as to whether the ordinance was written so that it clearly stated that a commercial aspect must be included in the CM zone. And so it went actually to our attorneys, and the attorneys came back that the legal opinion was that if you decide to do mixed use, commercial must be on the first floor, but that there was nothing in the ordinance that clearly stated all properties in that zone must be mixed use.
And when that came back, was there any discussion on if that's gonna be closed or if that's the intention? Because the intention was that there was gonna be commercial originally.
Well, they discussed that, and the attorney told the planning commission that'll be up to the planning commission to decide at one of their work sessions. But so in that area, you are still allowed a townhouse. You could build townhouses with no commercial aspect. And so the attorney said if you were going to allow townhouses with no commercial aspect, that the intent could not be that all residential properties or all development had to be mixed use.
Ah.
And it also actually says in parentheses, when mixed use, not must be mixed use. And so the legal definition of when mixed use, their interpretation was if the developer decides to make it mixed use, that the commercial property must be on the first floor, not on the second or third floors.
Yeah, so if you had a 5-unit versus anything else, then it would have to be mixed use. Okay.
Rick, which section of the code is that parenthetical when mixed use? Do you know where that is?
Yeah, it is chapter 3.
Oh.
Let me find it. So if you go to 300B multifamily for CM W1 and W2, and then in parentheses it says when mixed use, multifamily to be located on the second floor and above.
Gotcha, I see it. Okay.
So the planning commission is trying to determine whether they want to remove the when mixed use and then also remove the option of having townhouses or the other allowable residential aspects for that zone.
Right.
Rick, you made that sound too easy. How long did it take us to get the determination from the attorney? Is that about 7 months or so?
6 months before they finally.
That's right.
They did a very thorough check of probably 20 different zoning ordinances around the state and some other legal determinations that had been made in other areas. And so, like I said, this project this project started initially with the planning commission. This has been 2 years before it has gotten to the Board of Appeals. Close
Wow.
to 2 years, probably, I would say.
I want to apologize for costing the town so much in the legal fees, Rick.
I mean, your assumption that the legal reasoning was correct. So
And I do pay taxes here though, so you know that goes for something, right?
absolutely.
There you go.
Okay, back to our discussion. What are people thinking as far as the 2.5 versus the 3 feet?
I will remove my second.
And I personally don't have a problem with the 2.5.
Okay. That's frankly, that's where I'm coming out, Fred. Fred, would you care to make a motion? We see what happens.
Well, don't we have a motion on the table still that has to be rescinded or not?
Jessica pulled her, Jessica stated that she would pull it.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear
Yeah,
that.
that's, her statement was fine.
All right, then I make a motion that we approve as written the setback request by the owner.
I second that.
Okay, so let's just, I just want to be really clear about this. And so Fred, just to be clear, you're requesting that we approve the side setback from 5 foot to 2.5 feet on the south side and from 5 feet to 3 feet on the north side. Is that correct?
Correct, as it was submitted to us. Yes.
Okay. And I'm sorry, was that Kessa that seconded? Yes. Okay, so we have a second from Kessa. So all in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed?
Nay.
Jessica's opposed. Abra, do you have a vote?
I raised my hand, Jim. I raised my hand to vote yes.
Okay, so Abra's a yay.
Yes, I saw her hand.
That's funny because I can't see her.
She doesn't have her camera on, but I saw that her hand went up.
Oh,
Hello.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, there.
There she is.
Oh,
Thank you.
Hello.
Okay.
Hello. Happy
So-
holidays.
Albert, it'd be great if you could leave your camera on during the meeting.
I've got house guests from Thanksgiving. I think it's more convenient for me to
Oh,
cut it.
okay.
Okay, so congratulations, Mr. Wellbanks. It is approved. So
Okay, thank you all.
yes, thanks for your patience. Okay, so on to the second item on the agenda, which used to be
Before we get to that, Jim, if the board members would like, when we get this next work session scheduled with the planning commission to discuss setbacks and other things, I would be happy to send notices out to the Board of Appeals members if they would like to be a part of that. That since you guys are the ones who approve variances, that way anybody who wants to be a part of that to give their opinion or part of that discussion, I can send those notices out as well.
that would be very helpful. I really appreciate that, Rick.
And
Absolutely.
just to give you a quick insight as to the way I think we're leaning is the town basically has three size lots, 25 foot, 37.5, and 50 foot. I believe we are leaning towards 3 different setbacks for each lot. So
Okay.
25-foot lots would be locked in at 3 foot. Anything over 25 up to 37.5 would be locked in at 5 feet. And then anything over 37.5 would be, and up to 50 feet would be 8 feet with the option to have a variance if there was some extenuating circumstance. And any lot 50 feet or larger would be at 8 feet with no option for variance for setbacks on the side.
Rick, is
Gotcha.
that for anything in any zone or is that?
That would just be for residential.
R1 or 2?
Yep, that would just be for residential. The planning commission is still leaning towards having more leniency to individually look at commercial lots as they come, as opposed to encompassing them all as one.
Right.
But residentially, they are looking to make it a little easier and to reduce the number of people asking for variances so that, like Jessica said, they don't start creeping farther and farther out.
Yeah, I would, and I mean, you brought that up before and I love that idea because we're already giving the smaller lots 3 feet and we've already denied some of the houses
Yep.
that have asked less than that.
Yeah, with that and the comp plan, it's just about getting the ordinances written up and having the public hearing. In the last 6 months, we've just been a little tight, so we haven't gotten it done. But right after the first of the year, I think one of our first work sessions that will take place. So I will make sure I let everybody know so that anybody on the Board of Appeals that wants to attend can.
Right. That would be very helpful. Okay, can we move on?
Yes.
All right, so moving on to the second item on the agenda. It is a variance request for 3919 Fifth Street. The
don't know
proponent
if-
is,
Did anybody show up from Scott Properties? I tried to get a hold of the architect today, but I did not get a response back. This project is the house next door was brought by Scott previously, that you had approved, and they discussed that this one would be coming. It's 2 smaller houses that they were tearing down and redoing. This is the second of those lots. So, I mean, it's up to you whether you want to move forward with this if they don't have anybody here or wait till next month.
so I have no problem discussing in their absence. You know, they don't get the benefit of being able to answer our questions that we might have for them. That's their problem. So again, okay, so it's reducing the side yard setbacks from 8 feet to 3 feet on both sides. It is a 25-foot wide lot. I think it's a 105-foot deep lot. Does he have a plat showing the other surrounding lots on it?
They own all of the surrounding lots.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I realize who we're talking about.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know if
Trying
other-
I thought they did.
yeah, okay, it's page 5 here on the PDF. So, okay.
I'm sorry, are they required to have a representative here? Because I know we've passed on people on vacation houses when they haven't had a representative.
Well, I think on the vacation rentals, they have to actually answer those
Yes.
specific questions.
They
They
do.
have to be, right, they have to be on the
Yes.
record of answering those questions for vacation rentals. Rick, I think we have approved,
You've approved these variances before without
Yeah.
an applicant being here, not the vacation rentals.
Yeah, the only one I know was the one that we did last time, and I guess because it had been brought to the board before was the reasoning.
It's up
Yeah,
to
so
you. Looking
Yeah,
at
so
the,
this is the same owner, and that house was the one right next door to this one.
okay,
And then
so
I
let's
guess the
just,
question is on the picture, I know I'm gonna be picky here, but I feel like everything keeps on creeping over and creeping over. Is the picture, I think, says 2 feet 7/8.
oh, so where do you see that? I haven't seen that.
It's like the picture and maybe I'm reading it wrong. So absolutely, if you look at the front, it says 40
What
foot,
what page?
page 8 of 12. And it says, when looking at the house on the left-hand side.
Aren't these heights of the building?
That's not the feet difference. Maybe I'm looking the wrong place then.
Right, I think the numbers you see on, so it's the front picture of the house, or I take it back, it's the rear of the house that you're looking at, I think.
The rear of the house, yeah, 40, so
Right.
I guess, yeah,
I
40.
think that's showing you, right,
dash 2 and
that's
7/8.
showing you, right, that's
Yeah,
great.
if you go to page 10, if you go to page 10 to the floor plan and you look all the way to the right, the measurement all the way to the right shows that the house is 19 foot wide.
Right.
Right,
Oh, I'm talking about where it says the side setbacks. So where is the side?
The house is situated cattywampus on this one also, right?
Yes.
Right.
If you look on page 5, on the left-hand picture there, if you zoom in, it has all the setbacks there labeled both sides. It's zoomed, if you zoom in, it's sort of right off where you see proposed house, you see 2 arrows sandwiching the structure and the property line. It says 3
Oh,
feet plus
yes.
minus.
Thank you, Mickey.
You're welcome.
I see it. Right, so Jessica, the picture you were looking at on page 8 is showing you the height from the grade to the peak of the roof.
Because I saw the 40 feet, but what's the dash 2 and 7/8?
I
So
assume
if
it's
you look,
40.
one side is 2 7/8 and one side is something else. So the grade on the lot is like 2 inches difference on one side than the other.
Oh, got
just-
it.
Right.
Yeah, it's
Agreed.
just
It's
the
feet- it's
difference
feet
in
and
the,
inches.
in the ground.
It's feet and inches.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it does look like from the plat that it's definitely 3 feet on both sides of the house. So okay, so let's just are the board members comfortable making a decision in the absence of any representative from Scott Properties? Because
I guess I just want to discuss precedent. Like, are we always going to be making decisions without representatives if they're not a vacation rental moving forward?
Well, I think like Jim said, it kind of is, if there was something questionable, like if they were asking for 2 feet, they
Mhm.
wouldn't be here to be able to try to give you their explanation. It's kind of detrimental to them.
right.
So
Right. I mean, he's at a disadvantage in that he can't help himself. So,
No,
I mean, honestly, it could play out any different way. Because I mean, honestly, I think every single one of these that we see has its own unique features that could prompt us to roll in any direction, quite frankly.
I think the biggest question would be is if you were to say no, you're not going to see it. I don't see where you would have any issue to discuss it tonight at the hearing. My question would be, if you were to not vote on it tonight and wait, would your decision a month from now be different than it is tonight, whether they're here or not?
No, I agree with that. I'm just talking about precedent in general.
Right.
Because this is the second time we've done it, and then we've at least in the 2 or 3 years before that, I'd not seen us do it at all. So that was, we're good with 3 feet. I mean, we've done it a lot, unless I'm I don't want to speak for anyone else, but I think 3 feet's normal. I just, in general, I'm talking precedent for Jim.
And Jessica, just to let you know, the applicants were notified with the proper amount of time given, so they were given well over 3 weeks that this meeting was tonight, and they were on the docket.
I honestly thought we're going to see Mr. Montgomery presenting for him, but it's who knows.
He
Stuff
normally
comes.
does.
Right.
Yeah, and I tried to email him today, but I never got a response back. So I don't know if he was out or out of the office or what happened. He doesn't miss very many.
So can I just get a show of hands on those that are comfortable discussing and potentially ruling on this in the proponent's absence? And
I don't have a problem.
yeah, so that was a hand. Abra, is your hand up or not? I can't tell.
It is. Oh, I can't see all.
No, my hand is not up. I think that people should be here to discuss this. I think it's important, even if it's not a whole lot to consider. I think it just shows integrity in the process.
Okay. Good point.
Well, talking about next month's meeting, it actually falls on Christmas Day, so obviously
Sounds great.
Let's
No.
do it. Let's do it.
Good try.
So if there's no anyone that's opposed, we can push this one, and I do have a vacation rental to January.
Okay, so honestly,
let me ask one last question here. Are all 4 corners of this building 3 feet or further away from the property line? All 4 corners.
of the new proposed building?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I thought that's what what I saw, but I wanted to be sure that
Yeah.
all four corners, because it is cattywampus on the property.
Yeah, no, they're gonna tear down that one, and then like the one they did next door, they're gonna square this one so that all the houses on the block would now become squared.
Square. Okay. All right. I have
So-
no problem then.
So, okay, so honestly, I'm gonna change my vote and say that I'd rather postpone and discuss this at a later meeting, just because of the other board members' concerns. So I'm gonna make a motion that we don't even discuss or hear it at this meeting, and you give him a chance to show up at the next meeting. And I would just ask that if he doesn't show at the next meeting, we make a ruling on it. It'll-
Well,
But-
if we go that far and he doesn't show up at the next meeting, I would be inclined to disapprove it. I mean, if we feel strongly enough that the person should be here representing the property, and we're going to postpone it, if he doesn't show next meeting, I feel we reject it. Flat out.
Maybe a little bird will tell Mr. Montgomery or Mr. Scott. That's
I will
all
get a
I'm
hold of
saying.
somebody tomorrow for sure.
Okay,
I'd like to
All right.
second your motion, Jim.
okay, so Stacy, do we need to do a motion to defer or do we just, what do we need to do?
No, you don't need to do a motion to defer. You
No.
didn't hear the case tonight because the applicant wasn't present.
Okay,
Sounds wonderful.
yes, okay, so thank you, Stacy.
You're welcome.
Got me out of that bind. Okay, so is there anything else we need to discuss?
Nope. I believe that's it.
Okay,
Can I discuss the next meeting date with you? Since December is a busy month for everybody and it falls on
Absolutely.
Christmas Day. The next meeting in January will be January the 22nd.
okay, and that's a Monday?
That's a Monday. Yes, the fourth Monday of the month.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
Okay, we'll send out a reminder and the agenda information mid-December.
Okay,
Okay.
and will that be something that, excuse me, because I'm Kristen Byerly. I live at 9026 Frederick Avenue. My husband Jim is on a line as well. Our property, basically, the side of it is along each one of these houses that are going up. So I would like to make sure that, because we're on Frederick,
Mm-hmm.
the four houses basically line up along my property line. So I would be interested in attending and finding out, and I do appreciate the fact that you guys did, because I believe integrity is an issue. And if you're asking for a variance, you should attend.
Correct.
Yes.
Kristen,
Yes.
oh,
Right.
actually, Rick, are they asking for any variances towards the back?
Hope not. There's a paper, there's a paper road, I guess is what they're called.
No, there's an alley. There's a
alley.
15-foot alley owned by the town, correct?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, so hopefully none of that, but my backyard faces the back of each one of these houses. And the one that is on the docket for today is like 3 feet from the one next door to it. So it is really just sandwiched right next door to it. So I would, if variances of 3 feet is allowed, I don't know what's going to happen with that other house. And that is something that I think needs to be addressed.
Is the other house a new house or an old house?
It's one owned by Scott Properties. They own 4 in a row.
Okay,
Yeah, I
so
believe they're gonna rebuild all of them.
Oh,
can
yeah.
Two
can
little
I just
ones.
ask, can I just ask everybody, so if we're not gonna hear the case, I honestly don't think we should really be discussing too much about it now either. So I highly recommend you attend the next meeting. But we do want to hear your comments, so
Okay,
please,
January 22nd.
January 22nd.
22nd. And Kristen, if you would like, you can email all your concerns to me prior to the meeting, and I'd be more than happy to forward them along to the board members.
Okay, I appreciate that.
That'd be a good idea.
Absolutely.
Great, thank you.
Okay, Yes, and thanks for all your comments. I just, if we're discussing his case without him around, he may have comments that he wants to enter in the proceeding too. So in
Understood.
fairness to everybody. So, okay, so can I get a motion?
I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
We have a motion. We have a
I
second from
second
Jessica.
it. I'm Aubrey, I second that.
Barbara seconds it too. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All
Have
right,
a
thanks,
beautiful
everybody.
holiday. Thank you.
Happy
Good night,
holidays.
everyone.
Happy
Bye,
Good night,
holidays.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Talk to you later.